is he so funny?
OG Anunoby, a man of minimal words, but OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges each with 28 points. Knicks get the win, 110-93. You heard it on the broadcast. Their last 12 games without Jalen Brunson, now 7-5, so over 500, still in a tie, remaining in third in the Eastern Conference. Chris Miles here with the Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas, the champion Channing Frye. And Channing, let's start with OG and the 28 points. You kind of heard Alan Hahn say it. OG now has 6 consecutive games where he scored 23 or more, 28 in this one. Very consistent. Without Jalen Brunson in the lineup, perfect timing for him.
I think one thing now I'm impressed about is, like, whoever goes in there, they all play a certain way. They're always moving bodies. They're always, playing the game with energy, and it starts with their defense. We know they can score, so OG right here is just a physical specimen. Get that little baby out the street and let go in there for a layup. And again, what he's doing is starting with the defense and getting out. Denny Avdia don't want none of them problems. Get out the street and let the big boys play. Right here, again, just moving bodies. These are simple actions that when done right, and done with aggression, you're going to have opportunities to score the ball. And right here, he doesn't have the ball in his hands. He's patient. He gets to where Mitchell Robinson can see him, and he hits that open three. Right here, again, a lot of these clips that you're seeing, these aren't plays. These are just stops. These are layups. These are turnovers that he's creating. So 11 for 16 on layups and wide open threes. This is what you want. Now, we want to say every team that wins a chip has 3 legit dudes that'll get you 25. If OG continues to play like this, then we got to really start talking about the Knicks when they get healthy as true contenders.
Well, to what Channing is saying here, here's a night where the Knicks were down by 8 at the half. Karl Anthony Towns, 4 for 13 from the field, 10 points. Never really found his footing, and yet they still had 110 on the board.
Well, defense carries, right? And the way they defend, it's contagious. Not only is it contagious, but it also leads to fast break points. And that 11 to 16 that we saw, a lot of it was in transition. A lot of it was off missed shots. So the Knicks are, as Channing said, if they can continue to keep up their offense with OG adding, more to their offensive punch, when Brunson comes back, they are serious because they can defend and stop.
Yeah, 3
Your tri-state area Audi dealer today. Another massive game from OG Anunoby. On both ends of the floor, coast to coast after the turnover, he goes for 28 points. The Knicks held Portland with only 35 points in the second half. Mikal Bridges also scored 28 points. And the Knicks, down by 14 in the third quarter, outscore the Blazers by 31 the rest of the way and win 110-93. Great to have you with us, Bill Pito, along with Alan Hahn. So on the night we celebrate Clyde Frazier's 80th birthday, and on the night that Jalen Brunson says it's realistic for him to return before the playoffs, the Knicks come back and end up trouncing the Blazers.
And it had to do with defense. It is something that you had to, we talked about at halftime. The Knicks forced 7 turnovers the first half, only turned it into 5 points. They've been so good at doing that. Second half, another 7 turnovers, but this time 13 points. The turning point of this half was them holding this team to 35 points and also making sure that they got those turnovers and made them pay for them with those points off turnovers.
All right, so Portland scores only 35 in the second half. They scored only 15 in the fourth quarter. Knicks won the fourth quarter, 31-15. They were up by 1 after 3 and then ended up dominating the final 12 minutes. The defense was stifling out.
Yeah, it's the steals. Josh Hart had 3 steals. OG Anunoby had 3 steals. But the key is that when they were turning the ball over, make them pay. There's another turnover. There's another Josh Hart steal. Josh Hart was all over the place, too. This was a great game for the 3 wing players on this team, with OG Anunoby getting it started. Mikal Bridges got red hot in the second half and really got it going. And then Josh Hart doing everything that Josh Hart does, some defense, some rebounding, and obviously some scoring as well. This was it. They upped the energy. They upped the intensity. It's a fairly young team, and they couldn't handle it when the Knicks really turned it up. They dialed it up defensively. And, Bill, that's what you needed to see from this team. As Denny Avdia, there's a great shot there. He was tough to stop because he kept getting to his right hand. You saw that time they forced him to his left. He still made the shot. And here's the extra effort we're talking about from the wing players. They dialed it up, and it just shows you that when they play this hard, Bill, they can play defense at an elite level.
All right, so you see the numbers. Look at the bench points. Precious Achiuwa had 10 points in the second quarter.
Shamet, too.
Shamet with a nice game. Shamet off the bench in this game off the bench had 11. He had 13 against the Bucks. And they won by 17, even though Karl Anthony Towns scored only 10 points. Here now with Mikal Bridges. Mikal, great game. You guys were down by 14. From that point on, you outscored them by 31 points. How'd you do it?
Defensively. I think that's the biggest thing. And all of us just not playing good defense and not team defense as well. So I think we picked it up, got stops, and then we were slow.
Another great game for you offensively with 28 points. You've been putting up huge numbers of late. What has led to your offensive consistency here in recent games?
Just trust my work and my teammates. I think, just, let me play, get me involved and try and make the right read. That's pretty much just all credit to my teammates.
Congrats, Mikal. Thanks for stopping by. Great game.
Yeah, no, thank you, man.
Allen, without Brunson, Bridges in the 12 games averaging over 22 a game, and he went for 28 in this one.
Yeah, and how about a buzzer beater? Why not? Since the last time he saw Portland, he hit one. That was at the end of the first quarter. Of course, the biggest one was in overtime in Portland a couple of weeks ago. But it was the second half where he really got things going. And you just see when he's on the move, the most important thing is to find him when he's cutting. I love this little defensive play, too, by Bridges. A lot of perimeter defense that they had to adjust to in the second half. But with Bridges, the key has always been his activity and his movement. And he is excellent when it comes to cutting. He's also a guy that gets out quick when there's a turnover. He and Anunoby are so good at when there is a deflection or a turnover, one of them races out and they try to get quick points. When he gets into rhythm like that, Bill, that's when the shots start falling for him and he gets real comfortable and he becomes difficult to stop. This is an example of all the weapons the Knicks do have in this starting five. And without Jalen Brunson, the question was who's going to make up the scoring? And as Tom Thibodeau said, it's not going to be one. It's going to take several. And you're seeing it right now.
Think about this. They won in Milwaukee on Friday, and Cat scored only 14.
Yeah.
Of course, no Brunson. Tonight, no Brunson. I mentioned Cat scored only 10, and they still put up 110 points.
Doc Rivers said after the game in Milwaukee that the goal was just to stop Karl Anthony Towns, take him out of the game. They weren't able to stop anybody else, and OG Anunoby was a big part of it. The same thing when you watched early in this game, what Portland was doing is Donovan Clingan was not guarding Towns. They had a wing on Towns, and Clingan, every time he touched the ball, would come over and double. So what do? Find the open man, and that's exactly what the Knicks started to do.
All right, so OG Anunoby, when you look at what he's doing on offense, you have to remember he's spending a lot of energy guarding the other player, the other team's best offensive player, and he's still scoring at this remarkable clip. This is 6 straight games with at least 20. He had 31 against the Bucks, and he had 28 in this one.
And again, he told us the other night it was about him just being aggressive, and he was aggressive from the start of this game. And he's looking at who's guarding him and saying to himself, I can beat this guy. He has developed the shot. You give him credit for watching film, not on just opponents, but on himself, and seeing what more can I do, what can I change. And some of it has simply been activity and being aggressive and looking to shoot. Some other things have been a move here or two that he's worked on, that he's talked about. But his defense has always been elite in the league. He'll be an all-defensive selection.